In this video, I'll show you 25 of the most useful tips I've ever learned in Blender. I don't want to waste your time, so let's just get straight into the first tip. If you're anything like me, you've been moving your origin point wrong your whole life. You might have been either moving your object in edit mode and moving it back in object mode in order to change where it is, or you might have been placing the 3D cursor somewhere, then moving the origin to the 3D cursor. But you can actually select your object and hit Ctrl period to enter origin edit mode where you can move your origin freely. Not only can a camera be set as the active camera, but also other objects, and the most useful is probably lights. You can do this by pressing Ctrl numpad 0. This can actually be useful for pointing lights where you want them. And yes, you can also do this with the default cube, though it might look a bit weird from the outside. And now for my personal favorite, the heavenly Shift plus R. This shortcut basically just repeats your last action, but it can be useful for so many things like duplicating, moving and rotating items. Have you ever seen this sharp looking viewport shader in YouTube videos and wondered, how'd they get that? Well, you can simply go up to the viewport shading and enable cavities so you can now blend in with the cool kids. So just thank me later. If you ever find yourself making a scene with multiple of the exact same objects like trees, rocks, etc., instead of duplicating it with Shift D and essentially doubling the poly count and making the scene even heavier on your PC, you can actually press Alt D to instance the object. What this does is that it will essentially use the same data from the object you instanced. This won't affect your poly count or your PC like duplicating it would. However, be advised that if you change the original object, the instanced objects will also be changed, because as I said, they use the exact same data. This actually brings us over to the next tip, which is that if you select some objects and go to Object, Transform, Randomize Transform and adjust the settings, you can give the objects a natural feel in a very quick way. Do you ever get bored of how to navigate the viewport? No? Well, f you. But also you can go to View, Navigation and choose either Fly Navigation for a drone-like feel or Walk Navigation for an FPS type feel, which can be really helpful in the camera view. You know how you can select an object and press the period key on your numpad in order to focus on it? Well, you can actually also go to View, Frame All to focus on the entire scene. If you find yourself with a triangulated model and you want to convert it back to quads, then you can actually hit F3 and search Trace to Quads and Blender will do its best. You should already know this, but if you go to World Properties and select Environment Texture as Color, then load up an .hdr file, you can easily get very realistic and natural 360-degree lighting. Okay, this next one is a game changer. If you simply increase the nudge threshold, you can save yourself a lot of render time. With the default 0.0 run, I was able to render this scene in 2 minutes and 32 seconds. However, when I changed this to just 0.1 instead, I was able to render this scene in just 25 seconds. This is a huge improvement, and as you can see, there is barely any difference in the final results. Did you know that you can actually create custom bevel shape? You can do so by adding a cube, beveling one edge like this. Then you can select custom under profile type, and from here you can create any shape that you would like. There actually already are a couple really cool presets, like one specifically for stairs, but also a couple other really cool ones. Okay, now I'm gonna show you 10 super useful, super short tips as fast as I possibly can. You can use Blender from Steam to auto update and track your hours. You can download an official Blender benchmark to see how good your hardware is. When you launch it, it'll look something like this. Just click next, select your Blender version and take it from there. Instead of making an entire rig for your character, you can actually use the pose brush in sculpt mode in order to pose your character for an image. If you have some vertices that are very close to each other, you can press M and select merge by distance and adjust the slider. You might not know that you can actually drag and drop colors in any node-based editor. If you ever want to animate something like a noise or Voronoi texture, set it to 4D and just keyframe the W value. If you've ever tried zooming really far into an object, you know that at one point you clip through it like this. Well, you can change the clip start to a lower value in the side panel in order to fix it. You can make easy voxel art by adding the remesh modifier, selecting blocks and adjusting this value. You can right click any button in Blender and it'll add it to your quick favorites, which you can access by hitting Q. If you ever wish to do so, you can actually select random vertices by tapping into edit mode and go and select random and adjust the ratio. If you have multiple objects you want different colors on, you can actually do it with the same material by plugging a color ramp into the base color with an object info nodes random into the factor. And if you want very specific colors, you should set the color ramp to constant, which you can do here. You probably know that you can bevel edges to make a smoother shape, but did you know that you can actually bevel vertices? To do so, instead of hitting the usual Ctrl B, hit Shift Ctrl B and it will bevel the vertices instead of the edges. Whenever you're using the file browser, instead of navigating for edges, you can simply type // to get to where you have saved your file. If you ever get bored of how Blender looks, you can actually change the theme by going to Edit Preferences Themes. You can pick from some cool ones, just whatever you do. Please don't change it to right. For the last tip, if you're a cube hater, you can actually change the default scene by making a scene and going to File, Default, Save, Startup File. Now whenever you launch Blender, it'll show that startup file instead of the default one. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want me to make another one of these, let me know.